Okay, this is what I got for the shop. Eric came across this deal. This is a waste oil burner or a waste oil heater called a clean burn. I think it's 140,000 BTU unit, so it ought to heat my little uninsulated shop pretty good. But the problem with it is it's so big. I mean, my shop, as you can tell, is not huge. I got 12 foot by 12 foot doors. And when I built it, we were building it for, back when I built this shop, I built it for cash. I didn't have to borrow any money. So the size we ended up with is what we got. I put a 6-inch slab under it for heavy equipment to come in. I really wish I'd have made this end on this, or opening on this end wider, but it is what it is for now. I may widen it out someday. But the thing is, you get a shop like this, if it's too big, it's hard to heat. If it's too big, it's hard to keep other people from stacking their stuff in it. So, one of the reasons I like this size shop is when I get a project in here, I got to get it done and get it out. It doesn't just sit in the back burner. But anyway, in the process of trying to figure out what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this tank and leave it outside. I've looked in the manual and they say it's okay to, as long as we're not in super cold temperatures, this can stay outside. The guy we bought it from was nice enough to leave it full of oil. Which I kind of wish it was not full of oil, but we got a good deal on it. These things are not cheap. I have heard they take you do have to do a lot of maintenance on them to keep them running, but I figure for no more than I'm going to be running it out here, it might help me to get rid of some of my waste oil. I don't know how many gallons a year I produce. I haven't really looked that up, but I get an abundance of oil and I need to burn it for heat. It's basically free, other than you do have compressed air, you do have electric for the fans and the pump. But anyway, what I'm thinking is I want to take that unit off of the stand and I want to hang it about in the middle here to where it shoots the air over this way. And I'll have to put a stovepipe out. It's got a stovepipe. I'll have to put a stack out the roof. Trying to figure out what kind to put through there. Probably need a double wall just to be on the safe side, but it would be tempting to just put a piece of steel pipe through. Since we're uninsulated, I know it gets pretty hot. It'd be probably the hardest part would be flashing it. May have to come up with a flashing, but anyway, Eric was over here yesterday and he said you need to get that crane down, and this is a little contraption I built when I was about 20 years old. This is a scratch built model crane. I don't know that I really scaled it for anything. This is probably I think this is the second one that I built. The first one was crashed, unfortunately, and I ended up rebuilding it from scratch. But the thing is, I've always wanted to put a crawler track base under it, like a crawler crane, and it's pretty tough to find anything that would match up for tracks or anything like that. But the idea is in my head now that I have a 3D printer. It may take a month or two, but if I can figure out the track pattern and get it printed, I can print off track pads, build an undercarriage, and I may build the undercarriage with steel parts instead of brass. I was using this brass. This is just hobby brass. I used to get this at Hobby Lobby is the store we got up here. They got a lot of hobby stuff, mostly girly stuff, but they have trains, and this is brass. It's dirty. I shouldn't ever let it sit out here in the barn. It's kind of gotten dirty, but I punched all these holes with a hand punch. These are 256 screws. to hold everything together, and I don't know if you can see, there's a bunch of them in it. The boom it was kind of thrown together quick. Not a real neat boom, but it works. 2 foot long. I had intended to build a 4-foot boom for it at some point. I never got to it, but I built my own drives. I found gears out of, these are out of some RC cars. I used to be able to buy parts kits. You still can. I tell you what, nowadays there's more of a selection. I could probably actually just put gear motors on here and do away with the little motor drives, but I'm short 2 motors. What I have is 2 on the swing, 2 on the main boom hoist, and I've got 1 each on the other 2 hoists here. So it's not super strong with just 1 motor. It worked a lot better when I had 2, but I had 2 motors go bad and I couldn't find these anymore. I used to buy all this stuff at Radio Shack on the motors and the wires and stuff like that. Switch box was a Radio Shack deal. I've got about 3 bad switches, so right now it's not really working the way it should. I can't get the swing to work, and I've only got 2 of the other motors working as far as and the swing gear can just pivot. It's got a set screw on it. It's not real tight, so it can just pivot, but it could be tightened up to where it wouldn't pivot that easy. But this is a clam bucket that I designed myself. And like I said, I did this back when I was about 20 years old. But anyway, you pull 1 string to open. And when this is actually working, you can actually run 1 motor up and 1 motor down, and this thing will stay just dead level and open and close. It's pretty cool. And you can pick up a lot of stuff. I mean, the gripping power of it, let me see if I can show you here. Let's see if I can get you could pick up like WD-40 cans. That's a flashlight there. But the weight of the bucket, the more weight that's on there, the tighter that thing gets. And then when you, of course, when you release it, it just lets it go. Anyway, just and this will pick up sand. Wouldn't want to pick up anything too heavy. The way it's set up now, it'd fall over pretty easy. But anyway, Eric thought you guys might be interested in this kind of stuff. He thinks it's cool. I'll tell you what, I used to just, if I had seen some of the stuff they were building and they got on YouTube now, back when I was a kid, I'd have probably never got a job. I'd have probably stuck with building toys. There's money in it, I believe, now. Didn't used to be. But all these parts, you know, a lot of these parts, just sheets, angles of brass, flat pieces of brass. It was all just kind of fabricated, kind of, you know, made things kind of stiff. But I'd always intended to build a house on it, operator station, that kind of thing. I just never got around to it. One thing that happened whenever it got to this stage and it was all working, it was so fun to play with, I just kind of quit working on it. So I need to get it working again, need to get it cleaned up, and I don't know if I'll ever get time to put it together the way I want, maybe someday. But like I say, it's just a fun little hobby piece I've got, that from a time back when it seems like I had more time, and when I just doing what I enjoyed. But 3D printer is cool. I want to show you something I made. Whoops, I'm break my flashlight. This is a small 3D printed flashlight holder. 3D printing is a neat, I don't know, it's just pretty neat. You can look up designs online, you can download them. People share their designs. You don't really have to, I mean, you can draw up your own stuff. There's some, Tinkercad is a program I use Tinkercad along with, I downloaded somebody else's version of the Kenworth symbol to make the horn cap for the KW. But you can take this stuff, you can download it into Tinkercad, you can scale it, and then you upload it into what is that called? Cura, I believe, is the program that actually does, they call it slicing. And basically it takes a design like this, it puts it through a process that makes it printable and makes it understandable to your printer. You download that on a micro SD card, you plug it into the printer, you turn it on, you basically tell it to print. And I think 2 hours later I had a flashlight holder. So I don't know how much it cost in electric or plastic, but it's pretty fun stuff. But anyway, this opens up a whole new world for something like this, because small parts for a toy like this, I mean, you could come up with realistic looking stuff. Might be called cheating, I don't know. None of this stuff was easy to build. I mean, lots of planning went into it. I drew up drawings. I had to space all these gears. The small gears that are in here, I had to basically just measure things out and get the spacings right so I'd have backlash in the gears, so the things wouldn't run too tight. For the most part, when this thing was working, it ran pretty smooth and quiet. And but you can see there should be 2 motors on each one of those bigger gears, but like I say, we're missing those. But it's a simple design. One problem this crane had, I had it working on, I've got one winch working now, and I can run that one. Okay, we'll see if we can actually open the bucket. We can't really go up or down, but we can open the bucket, we can close the bucket. But this is running off of 3 volts, and when I had it working, I usually ran 6 volts. I had a switch I could run high and low, so it runs a lot quicker on 6 volts and a lot stronger. But and then this is kind of the setup I had on raising the boom. And right now, one string seems to be a little bit longer than the other, so this is not running true. So, but we can run. We can run that up and down. It's working a little bit better now. It took a little bit to get that working better. But anyhow, just kind of a fun little toy. Something a kid would like for sure. Or maybe a big kid like me would like. But that's it. That's a designed and built by me crane right there. I've been thinking it'd be real cool to build like a 1/8 scale model of the link belt and build it to where it could actually lift up engines and stuff. I wouldn't need an engine hoist, I'd have a little crane, but anyway, that's probably a little bit ambitious. Anyway, happy Sunday.